Hello guys and girls, this is Boy Spawn with Ifs here, and this is going to be part 1 of What if Female Deku was the quirkless daughter of All For One. And now, in the last part we left off with Izumi's sickness, well, being cured, although sadly not completely. There were two noticeable side effects which the so-called cure had on her body. Although these side effects aren't the things which changed her appearance. The side effects are more for her health. The first one being that her immune system has, well, been compromised, or that well, let's just say that it isn't so good at dealing with illnesses now, because it has been extremely weakened. And the other main, well, shall we say, side effect is that she is extremely weak. And, well, more so than, well, even a 6-year-old should be. Her muscles have been, well, compromised. The muscle tissue has become weakened and, well, even some of her bones are, instead of looking like they're from a human, they sort of look like, well, like from a bird's. Simply putting it, hollow bones. They're that weak currently, even though they're not exactly hollow, they are just as weak as them. So yeah, when All For One hears about this, he is at least happy that she won't die in, well, a couple of weeks, or even faster. But he is a bit saddened that his daughter has become even weaker than when she had the illness. But Inko simply tells him that he should look on the bright side. At least she won't die anytime soon. And well, All For One, he is happy. For, well, the first time in a couple of months. Because because of Izumi's illness, let's just say that he barely got any sleep in the last 2 weeks. And after all of that, he finally got some shut-eye, with both him and Inko finally being able to relax. And well, Izumi can finally, well, walk. After 2.5 years of being stuck in a wheelchair, she is now learning how to walk, again. And the one who is helping her with this will be, well, All For One, her mother, and also her little puppy, Rex, the German Shepherd. And well, let's do another time skip, shall we say 2 years. As we currently go to the perspective of David Shield and All Might, as they are currently discussing the events of what happened 2 years ago, that being the little break-in which happened in their compound, as All For One took, well, two, well, arcane mechs, or at least mechs which are being powered by, well, Arcanum, which is essentially a new fuel source. If you guys or gals hadn't watched episode or part 0, I suggest you do, because I explain it, well, a lot more in detail, I would say. But yes, about that. Essentially, All For One went into their compound. He stole 2 mechs, mainly because they were needed to make a cure for his daughter's illness. And, well, after that, they went ahead and left, with All Might and All For One not having an epic battle. Sadly, although that will come later. But now, as David Shield and All Might are, well, talking, Melissa enters the room, with her hugging All Might. Or, well, at least as best as she can, with All Might then picking her up and then, well, hugging her back. Although, not so hard because he can break her. But yeah, as All Might and David Shield simply tell Melissa to go ahead and, well, play with her own dog, which is, well, let's say not a German Shepherd, but rather a Samoyed, called Bella. And yeah, as she goes ahead and plays with her. And yes, when I said that when Izumi and Elisa are going to be rivals, even their pets are going to be rivals. And yeah, as David and All Might now proceed to talk about more serious matters. These ones being that All Might now suspects that All for One is somewhere in Europe. Because, well, several contacts which he had, those basically being heroes in Germany, France, England, Poland, and all the European countries, have simply told him that villains with increasingly better tech, and also criminals, basically mere thugs and all that, now have actual assault rifles and things which can actually threaten the lives of, well, a lot more people. And All Might thinks that this is All for One's doing, which it actually is, or at least a part of it. The guns being sold to the criminals and all that is, well, Inko's doing, because yeah, she is essentially, well, their black market trader. With her, well, so selling guns to anyone who really has the money to buy it. And well, as All Might is telling this to David, David tells All Might that they finished making, well, the new prototype of the mechs. Those being, if you guys remember from the last video, well, this right here. Although they don't exactly look like this. These are going to be the mechs which, well, Izumi is going to be using. Although that is going to, well, come a bit later. The mechs which David Shield had just made, basically the second version of the first prototypes, they are quite a bit more bulkier, with them being now 7.5 meters long, or tall, and now they have increased weaponry, shielding, and also plate armor. And yeah. Now then, if some of you guys are wondering how exactly do they have shields, well, you should probably go ahead and watch part 0, simply because I explained exactly how, well, this what if is going to work, and all of the technological advancements which have happened in this what if. But enough about that. Simply putting it, these mechs are going to be, well, or currently are, being sold in moderate amounts to the police force and the military of America, Japan, and England. Although, as David Shield tells this to All Might, the shipment which was supposed to be going to England was intercepted and half of the cargo was stolen. Although, curiously, the cargo which was stolen, they weren't actually the mechs. They were rather the shields which the mechs were supposed to use. With All Might simply asking him, aren't the mechs more important than the shields? As David Shield simply responds, not exactly. Well, mechs do cost more than the shields, but let's just say that you can get, if you, well, buy 10 mechs which are fully equipped except the shields. For that you can buy 20 shields. So yeah, simply putting it, one shield generator is about half the cost of one mech, which are, well, quite expensive. And losing that many shield generators, which were supposed to be also for the next batch of mechs, this means that, well, at least 500 were stolen, which is a large amount to say for sure. But they can be easily reproduced. But yeah, the problem being that if All for One is the one who has them, God knows for what he's going to use them. As now we move from All Might and David Shield, and we go to All for One, who is currently making his own little version of the mech. And yeah, and the mech which is here on the picture is, well, let's just say that it looks something like this, except that the paint job, instead of being all black, is, well, grey with small, well, pieces of black here and there, or paint, of black paint here and there. And yeah, these ones are, well, simply, they are, sorry about that, guys. The mechs which All For One had just made, or is currently making, are a tiny bit more advanced than David Shields. Simply because his mechs have, well, better agility. That's pretty much it. Everything else is the same. The only thing which All For One couldn't make are the shields, which he now stole 500 of them. So yeah, that problem has been solved. But now, as we, well, now go from All For One to Izumi. Now then, as we go to Izumi, we see as she is currently 8 years old, that she is currently working on, well, a robotic skeleton of something, as Inko, well, goes into the room. As she sees Izumi working on it, she immediately says this to her. Izumi, you've been working on that for the last 4 hours. Please, remember that you're quite weak. I told you you should probably make them only for about 3 hours a day. Can you just please go eat dinner? With Izumi simply saying to her mother, but if I only make them for that short of a time, I won't be able ever finish with it. With Inko simply responding, I am your mother, mother knows best. Now, go come eat dinner. With Izumi sighing, but still getting off of her workbench and following her mother. And now, the exoskeleton, or the robotic skeleton which she was, well, making, was for this right here. Although without all of the plating and the weapons. It was simply like a robotic skeleton. But yeah, let's just say that these are going to be, well, Izumi's first ever robots, which she's going to make. And yeah, but this is just a little preview as we go back to Izumi and her mother. Now then, as they're currently having dinner, Izumi asks where's Dad, with Inko saying that he's probably busy on the mech project. With Izumi asking her mother, okay, can I go to the bathroom real quick? With Inko, well, responding, you cannot go see your father and the mechs. With Izumi simply, well, stating, how did you know? With Inko saying, you're my daughter, I know everything about you, especially that you love tech, especially mechs. With Izumi then simply saying, can I please go see them? I'll even eat all of the vegetables on my plate. With Inko saying, if you eat all of them and you take 2 bodyguards with you, you can go see the mechs. With Izumi being extremely happy, and her finishing 2 whole plates of, well, food in about 4 minutes. With Inko being quite surprised, and then Izumi running off to see the mechs, with the 2 bodyguards actually, well, having to catch up to her. Which just said, well, how exactly interested she was in this type of, well, tech, that being mechs. And well, as she goes ahead and she, well, sneaks up behind her father and, well, hugs him tight. With All For One actually being surprised, and well, he sees his daughter hugging him, along with 2 bodyguards which had followed her, with one of them saying that Lady Inko had allowed her to come here. With All For One, well, simply smiling and then, well, picking up his daughter, telling her, so then, what do you think? with All For One simply showing her the new mech prototype, with Izumi, well, saying, can I get a blueprint of it? With All For One telling her, I only allowed you to create that little project of yours, the robot, for, well, your 8th birthday. I am not allowing you to start creating your own mechs. You're too young and you're too weak, so please stop giving your father heart attacks. With Izumi simply, well, asking him, when did I ever give you a heart attack? And that's when All For One, out of his pocket, gets a list, with Izumi asking him, what exactly is that? As then All For One simply, well, starts telling her every single time he almost had a heart attack because of what she did. And the total number was 76. With her now being quite surprised that her father even had that sort of a list. With All For One telling her, you will be surprised about how many lists I have. With Izumi then chuckling to herself and asking her father if she can at least take a closer look at the mech. With All For One saying sure, as he then simply puts her on his shoulders and takes it close to the mech, which is, well, quite large, 7.5 meters. And, well, as she's looking at it, she's looking at the weaponry, with the weaponry, well, simply being, on one hand, well, it has, well, quite putting it rather lightly, a rather large sword, and in the other hand, it has, well, quite a large gun, which shoots lasers. So yeah, with Izumi, well, simply watching over the mech, as one of the scientists tells, excuse me, my lord, can you please move a bit? We need to start the test right now. With All For One telling him, alright then. Well, it would seem that we can't stay as close as you would like to the mech, but you can at least see what happens next, Izumi. With Izumi asking him, what do you mean? As then a door opens up, as one tank simply rolls through, with the crew which was inside the tank immediately get out of it, as then the mech turns around, taking his weapon and then shooting at the tank, with the tank, which was fairly high-tech, being destroyed in only a few shots, with Izumi being absolutely astonished, and All For One chuckling to himself that he is totally the better parent. And yeah, or the favorite parent. And in that exact moment, Inko, well, scratches her, well, head, simply saying, I feel that something is amiss. And yeah, with that being said, after that the show, All For One simply takes Izumi off of his shoulders and asks her to show him, well, her little project. And that's when she takes her dad to see it. And now then, what All For One was thinking that she had made was, well, a blueprint for, well, a robot. Or maybe even started making a sort of a 3D model of the robot. But no, when he entered her workshop, he saw that she had already made a proper, well, skeleton for this robot right here. With him simply asking her, how did you make this in 3 months? You're 8. With Izumi simply telling him, I'm not sure if I should take it as a compliment or an insult. I'm gonna go with compliment. With All For One simply asking her, I told you that you can only make them for 3 hours a day. For how long have you been here? With Izumi telling him, only 3 hours a day. And that's when All For One uses one of his quirks, that being light detection. As he then asks her again, how many hours? 3? And then, well, you just hear a tiny beep. as that was a lie. As then everyone asks her, uh-huh, with Izumi going 4, beep, 5, beep, 6, beep, 9? You've been making this 3 times longer than I allowed it. Than I allowed you to. You're getting grounded. Please no. Okay, let's see. Oi, you too. She cannot get into this workplace anymore, alright? For the next month. With Izumi being a bit like, can it be only for 1 week? With All For One then telling her, do you want to be 2 months? With Izumi then bugging off and saying, 1 month's fine, 1 month's fine. And yeah, as after that, he simply takes her and takes her back to Inko, who is actually still eating dinner. Because yeah, simply, well, saying that that dinner was rather extravagant would be a mild way to put it. It was, well, quite a large dinner. Let's just put it like that. Like a 9-course meal, yeah. Or a 9-course dinner, I believe. But yeah, as then All For One sits at the table, and Izumi goes back to her room, with All For One asking her is she not going to eat, with her mother, or Inko, telling him that she already ate before she went ahead and sighed her neck. With All For One saying, so that's how it was. And yeah, after this little story, we jump, well, 4 years into the future. Izumi is currently 12 years old and, well, has just entered her, well, school. Her first year, I believe. Or actually, maybe the second year. But, no, well, whatever the year it is. At this point, All For One had actually moved, along with Inko, to Japan. And yeah, as they go there, they already had a compound established there, which was extremely well hidden, to the point where even, well, the heroes couldn't find it that easily. But yeah, as they went there, All For One, well, enrolled Izumi into a regular school, because she said that she wanted to, well, experience a normal school life. With All For One chuckling to himself along with Inko, but they allowed it. And her first day at school, the first thing she saw was two kids getting bullied by an explosive blonde-haired boy. Yeah, that was rather... Let's just say that when she sees it, she doesn't care. Because the only things she really cares about is this: her family, technology, her dog, her uncle, and her grandfather. With her uncle being Kurogiri and, well, her, how do you call him again? Grandfather being the doctor. At least, well, she thinks of them as her grandfather and uncle. But yeah, she doesn't exactly care about that, as she goes ahead and takes a seat. And that's when the teacher comes in and reprimands Bakugo to stop using his quirk, with Bakugo simply scoffing, because his pride is like a bit over the top, and so is his ego, but it's not as bad as in the anime. Well, at least not yet. As after that, the teacher asks Izumi to introduce herself, as Izumi says that she is Izumi Midoriya, quirkless. And yeah, at that point, Bakugo, along with 2 of his other shitty brats, look at each other and then start laughing. And yeah, for all of you who think this is a bit of a weird, well, scenario, seeing as in this what if, 55% of the population of Earth has quirks and 45% don't have quirks. Well, yeah, let's just say that people who have quirks still think of themselves as higher than quirkless people. But by that I mean that some of them think like that. And the prime example would be Bakugo. And after that, Izumi is, well, not exactly discouraged. She could care less about what these three think. And she goes ahead and sits on, well, her spot. And as soon as the hour finishes, Bakugo and his little goons go over there to, well, speak to Izumi. That being the, well, as all of you guys can probably tell, the regular banter. That being, well, them trying to bully her, with her, in all honesty, not giving a single damn. But that's when someone else comes into the picture, saying for Bakugo and his two goons to stop. Now, this someone is a girl, also like Izumi. Blonde hair and blue eyes. Melissa Shield, who is also in this school, because much like Izumi, she wanted a normal school life, and her father gave it to her. And so yeah, this was the first ever, well, shall we say, encounter of Izumi and Melissa. What Izumi thought of Melissa at that moment was, she's quite hero-like. With Melissa thinking of Izumi, at first glance, she's quite docile, but doesn't seem to care. And yeah, that was their first ever, shall we say, their first ever meeting. And at that point, Bakugo goes there and tries to pick a fight with Melissa. But let's just say that Melissa isn't anything like in the anime. She is, well, actually wait, no, she is quite, let's just say that she is almost like herself in the anime. Except, well, let's just say that she's a lot more, or well, no, that she believes a lot more in her dreams of becoming a great hero. Along with that, she is quite a bit more intelligent than she was in the anime, and on top of all of that, she is extremely brave. She isn't fearless, because in all honesty, being fearless is just a stupid concept in itself. Yeah, sure, you're not afraid of death, but still, if you okay, but simply putting it, oh, play with it, guys. But simply, wait, not crap. All right, sorry about that, guys. Also, sorry if you had to see what it's called. Yeah, again, sorry about that, guys. Okay, but simply, or I think that I left off about saying that Melissa is a lot more braver in this, but she was like brave also in the anime. Now she's a lot more. She is quite a bit more confident. Simply putting it, she has been giving her all in her dream of becoming a hero. Studying a lot, hell, even training. For a, let's just say that for a 12-year-old, she's, well, quite strong. With Izumi being the exact opposite, except for the learning part. Izumi is, shall we say, cunning. She is cunning from her mother's side and manipulative from her father's. Truly a great villain. She is adept and can, well, how do you put it again? That she can, well, apply different tactics to different situations. On top of that, she's a strategist, and quite a good one at that. Even for a 12-year-old, let's just say that she was actually asked to give her opinion on several missions which All for One had, well, made for her. Not surprising anyone, except maybe some of the closer advisors to All for One. Every single strategy she had made was perfect, and each one resulted in a win. Or a success, shall I say. And while Izumi is a lot more practical, shall we say, she doesn't exactly enjoy having massive all-out wars. She would rather use several, well, pinpointed strikes on a certain country or on a certain battle to ensure her victory. Or if victories cannot be, well, got, that if victory cannot be achieved in any shape or form, she's going to, well, do as much damage as she can to her enemy. That is her philosophy, and also her strategy. But enough about that. Putting it rather simply, Melissa is the perfect hero, and Izumi is the perfect villain. That is going to be their contrast. But yeah, as Bakugo has just went overhead to bully Melissa, asking her, the hell what do you want? You're quirkless just like her. Losers sticking together, I see. With Melissa then simply telling him, bullying people isn't what a hero does, Katsuki. Because yeah, she doesn't refer to him as Kachan, but yeah. With Izumi simply, well, smiling a bit, or shall we say, grinning. But yeah, with Bakugo being a bit mad about that response, he uses his quirk. And well, let's just say that Melissa dodges it, well, quite fast, and yeah, Bakugo accidentally burns, well, how do you call them again? A sheet on fire, or, well, several documents which were on the desk of the teacher on fire. That's when the teacher comes in and just puts out the fire. And then telling Bakugo to be much more careful with his quirk. With Bakugo saying, yes, of course, teacher. With as then Melissa sits on her, well, as Melissa goes to her desk, which for plot reasons is right next to Izumi. And yeah, after that day, Izumi finishes her school and goes home. This pretty much repeats for the next, well, couple of years. And once that finishes, we go ahead to Izumi being 15 years old. Now then, Bakugo is still the same prick as he always was, but let's just say that Izumi is, well, let's just say that she had finished some of her projects. One of these being this right here. Yeah, she has succeeded in making, well, pretty much a whole squad of these guys to be her bodyguards. Because in the criminal underworld, Inko doesn't exactly show her face or use her name. And yeah, Inko is considered to be a, well, capable businesswoman in Japan. So yeah, it sort of fits well that her daughter can have a whole squad of robots protecting her. And also, the robots don't exactly, that is, they look like this, but their paint job is a bit different. Their paint job is all black with tiny, well, splashes of red paint here and there. And well, their mask, or their head, is completely white, having, well, on each side of their head, that being right and left, having the insignia of, well, their business. That being, well, two katanas, that is one katana and one medieval longsword, well, crossed together in an X shape, and to put it all together, there is, well, a pen in the middle. And well, what this sort of means to Inko's company, let's just say that she is in a sort of a, well, arms development. That is what she is. But, well, the katana symbolizes the part of her company which is in Japan or in Asia. The medieval broadsword symbolizes the part of her company which is, well, located in Europe, while the pen symbolizes, well, her rather, let's just say, diplomatic prowess. Because yeah, the weapons she makes are sent all throughout the globe. But that being said enough about Inko's business, this isn't the only robot Izumi had made, as I'm going to be showing you another two of her projects. This right here is, well, the second project she started working on when she was, well, 13 years old. Now then, this is similar to the first robot she had ever made, except a few improvements. That being, well, more capability, or that the other one was more focused on, well, being a standard foot soldier. Or a elite bodyguard, shall we say, because they were quite elite, and they also had mini shield generators inside of them. So yeah, quite hard to destroy. While these guys, well, they didn't have one shield generator. They had one medium-sized shield generator located in their chest, and then they had two smaller ones on, well, their right arm. These two smaller shield generators could combine together and make... Sorry about the interruption yet again. But yeah, this guy is essentially was made for, well, to be a tank, shall we say. To take bullets and to deal damage. That was his purpose. And well, there is also the third project she is currently working on. The third project is this right here. Now then, this is a mech, although it isn't the type of mech which is used by David Shield, or at least this is the mech which has been solely made by Izumi. And simply putting it, its main purpose is to hunt down mechs which were created by David Shield. That is its only purpose. And yeah, it has no shields, but unlike the mechs which David Shield produced along with her father, these guys can be mass-produced, with one mech costing, which David Shield makes, is, well, worth 3 of these guys. And one of these guys has a pretty good chance at destroying one, well, mech. Or, well, the Arkham mech. But enough about Izumi's projects, as, well, we go to Izumi, who is currently, well, entering the school. As she enters it, she sees Bakugo and Melissa arguing, nothing new, with Melissa actually being quite a bit taller than Bakugo, because yeah, her current height, unlike in the anime, is actually 91 centimeters. She is quite tall. And well, Izumi is, well, quite short. By quite short, I mean that she's only 1.59. Yeah, she's quite a short, small bean. But yeah. Simply as she passes both of them, Melissa says, "Hey Izumi," with Izumi simply waving her hand. And with Bakugo still yelling at Melissa for stopping from bullying 2 other kids. Because yeah, Melissa is quite strong and she can actually confidently beat Bakugo. And yeah, as they enter the classroom, everything is going fine. The day, well, simply put, or the day ends and Izumi is going home. And as she is currently walking through the school corridor, simply trying to get to the, well, the front door of the school, Melissa and Bakugo are yet again arguing. Although this time Bakugo uses his quirk. Now then, Melissa easily dodges, but there's just one problem. Izumi was right next to Melissa, walking, as Izumi takes the full brunt of the explosion. Now then, the explosion doesn't kill her, but let's just say that that proceeds to do a, shall we say, well, the explosion caused another explosion to happen, which was beneath the school, because the place where Baku just used the explosion was, let's just say, beneath them was the main generator room. Yeah, that also exploded. Although, luckily for Izumi, these guys right here, about 4 of them, jumped in immediately because, yeah, one of their abilities is this, cloaking. Yeah, as well, 2 of them jumped in to, well, shield her, while the 2 other ones tried to make the explosion, well, less, or to make the explosion a bit lesser. And yeah, as that explodes, Izumi gets shot, or, well, forced or pushed into the wall. The 2 robots which were with her are quite a bit damaged, while the 2 which tried to prevent the blast in the first place were completely destroyed. Melissa has, well, Melissa's back is completely burned, although she is gritting her teeth and just pulling through it, trying to see if Izumi and Bakugo are alright. And Bakugo, well, he used another explosion to combat this explosion, although because the explosion were larger than his own, it didn't end that well. But yeah, as the smoke clears and the fire department is called, along with, well, medical staff, along with Inko, who was actually there to pick up Izumi for school, because yeah, it was actually Izumi's birthday. As they go there, yeah, Inko simply sees her daughter, her face half pushed into the wall, with blood, yeah, going from her face. And when I say blood, I mean it was quite literally a fountain. Blood was everywhere. Yeah, needless to say, Inko, who, let me just get this straight, Inko in the underworld is well known to be All for One's wife. She is also well known for the fact that she, on a daily basis, tortures people, along with kills them. She is, just say, either equally as brutal as All for One or even more. And yeah, she screamed out Izumi's name, because yeah, she was completely and utterly petrified that her daughter might be dead. And yeah, as she quickly runs over to her, she sees that 2 of the robots, or the bodyguards who shielded her, are currently getting up, with one of them who survived, or didn't get destroyed, was actually a type of a medical bot, as he quickly gets Izumi's face out of the rubble. And yeah, Izumi's face, let's just say that the entire left side is completely burned. And yeah, if you go to where her ear is supposed to be, you can physically see, or you can physically touch her skull. Yeah, it wasn't looking so, shall we say, hot. And yeah, as the robot tries to apply first medical attention to her, as the paramedics arrive, they take Izumi along with her mother to the hospital, or they take both Melissa, Bakugo and Izumi to the hospital, with Melissa being actually quite easily treated, although, well, quite easily treated. She got second degree burns, with Bakugo getting 3rd degree burns at some places and 2 degree burns on others, while Izumi was the one who got 2nd degree burns on, well, the entire right side of her body, and her face had received the brunt of the wall. So yeah, her skull on that side of her face was not shattered, but let's just say broken, with her lower jaw being scattered. And yeah, as she's taken there, the doctors don't know what to do, and they simply tell her mother that there's a good chance that she might die. Now then, currently in that hospital room, there is quite a few police officers, When Inko said this, that the doctors were giving up on her daughter, she completely lost it. Let's just say that that entire room was filled with, well, corpses in about half a minute, as she killed them all. 27 people which were in there, except her own private bodyguards and also Izumi's robots, were all killed. After that, out of nowhere, let's just say that a jump is heard, as, yeah, the guy who jumped right, well, in front of the door, which was just destroyed, was none other than All Might, as he sees 27, well, police and doctors, along with nurses, well, being stabbed right through their guts by shadows. And let's just say that All Might had actually fought against Inko on several occasions, all of those being minor skirmishes. As All Might sees Inko there, and he knows immediately who she is, and he gets prepared to fight. Now then, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed part 1. Also, sorry for a bit of a cliffhanger, but the next part will be coming out tomorrow. Because yeah, I'm sort of going to be speedrunning through both this what if along with the what if female Deku was a vigilante what if. And also, because I've seen several people ask for it, I'm going to be doing, well, probably every once a week, a new part of what if Master Chief was in Ruby, and also what if Deku was a robot. Probably once a week, or maybe even 2 times a week, depending on how well it goes. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, well, the part 1, and I hope you have a great day.